were selling drugs. And he filmed it, the stuff in that movie is exaggerated, but it's kind of what Gabe told me. So then that plus Shakespeare, and then Brandon took these really stupid ideas and made Spun Gold.
Originally it was supposed to be ayahuasca was going to be what caused the shitstorm, and all the executives were going to shit all over each other out of hallucinations. It was going to be very trippy. But I'm kind of glad that we did the whale feces, because it's, the photorealistic whales that we got in Albania and the Coast Guard ship, thanks to Justin Martel, who got us a connection with the Albanian Coast Guard. All that stuff is up on screen, and it's amazing. The photorealistic whales.
Well, actually, Justin had the Albanians are the only ones who have really good trained whales and defecate corn, vegan whales. Pretty amazing.
Why corn, Lloyd? Why corn?
That's right.
That's filmmaking. So you had mentioned in the intro about 70% of the film was filmed in Estonia, right?
Yes, most of the other than
film.
Albania, right?
Yeah, we did a place called Central Bar Lounge. Was a good 16 days at least there, and half the club was a club, and the other half was a restaurant. So the restaurant portion is where we did the yacht stuff, and then we would have holding in the club section, and then we would switch over and have the club stuff that we shot, and the yacht section would then be the holding. So that place really came in handy. And then on top of that, I was just watching the credits here, all the establishments and businesses and things that were giving us things. I mean, we got free energy drinks from Cocaine and Balls, and we also got great days from Brooklyn Fireproof, which is a soundstage here in Brooklyn, and that they all came through. That's where the alley was. So a lot of places gave us really great deals.
It really helped a lot.
Which is wonderful. But where does the Albania shoot come into it? Like, why Albania? How did that come together?
Justin Martel.
The great Justin Martel. One of the
late Justin Martel.
Great.
The great. I got scared for a
I thought we
second.
had breaking news.
That's why he's not up here with us. No, but he has a company called Pioneer Media, and they go out to places in Eastern Europe and countries such as that, and have relations with the film consulates, the film commissions, and get things done for a little bit cheaper than it is here in America.
The real problem is the mainstream is chicken, right? They're all afraid to lose their jobs. They don't want to take a risk. So we were willing to take the risk, and the Albanians were willing to give us a great deal, thanks to Justin. So we got very, very lucky. And they spent months training those damn whales, I tell you. We've got an amazing behind the scenes. No, but seriously, we took a risk, a country that was the longest running dictatorship in history, probably, and they're trying to start a film industry, and the way that they give incentives. So here we are, and after Justin brought us, he and others have brought these much bigger movies to Albania. So once again, Troma leads the way.
They also rebuilt half of the boat. Some of the scenes that you see where Dylan and Zoe are teetering. And they built a shit cannon, all kinds of stuff in a soundstage. So,
well, they did have a dictator for 50 years, so a lot of shit cannons.
Did you find that there was a big Troma fan base in Albania? Like, working with the crew or anything? Like, what was that like?
The crew, except for the old guy who looked like Dustin Hoffman, they all were fans. They were young and they loved Troma, and we've never. It's the gift of and I talk about it in Sell Your Own Damn Movie. The gift of bootlegging, right? They all had seen at least a half dozen of our movies, so they were all fully. And I think Justin and Schmenk, Ghent did a terrific job. Organizing and the location, the huge boat, the ship, all that stuff. It's amazing. It's great. If you ever make a movie, try Albania.
So it wasn't any sorts of difficult there. It wasn't any sorts of difficult there. You didn't find like.
It was actually proving to be a little more difficult here to find a yacht and things like that. It was so expensive. I mean, just one day on the yacht would have cost us an insane amount that we got for a week in Albania, essentially. Right?
Yeah, it was very expensive. So and there were other things. The commissioner and I met with a number of locations, and the boats just were ridiculous. We could never have done it on anything but that type of ship.
It would have been, stick figures and little boat. We would have been in a little kiddie pool or something. It wouldn't have been the same.
That might have been endearing. I don't know.
Next one.
Next one. But so, One of my favorite pieces of Troma media is, I mentioned it during the intro, I love Poultry Guys Not a Chicken Den, but Poultry in Motion, the documentary, the making of that. So I'm always interested in what the production process is on the sets, right?
Well, you're in luck because Bjarni, who plays the captain, has been editing a behind-the-scenes about this movie, and it's called "Brown is the Warmest Color." Trust me, it's almost as good as Poultry in Motion. This thing is classic.
I love it. Were there people sleeping on the floor like we had in Poultry in Motion? Or should we just wait until the doc comes
People
out?
had air mattresses. It wasn't all hardwood floors. But yeah, a lot of people, in fact, here in Astoria, we had a place, and it was lovingly dubbed the Shit House. And this is where a lot of the crew and cast would sleep, and some of them went on to form a production company called Shithouse Productions. And they're in Tennessee right now making a movie called Curse of the Weredeer that Lloyd is producing. So it birthed this other production company.
Troma family. It's a very strong bond when you're on a Troma set.
How long were you guys shooting for in Astoria, or in the New York area?
The principal photography was about 24 days here in New York, and then there was about 6 days in Albania, and then we had a few pickup days here and there, such as at the Brooklyn Fireproof Studios, where we did 2 days in a row, and then we also did some stuff at the YouTube space, because Troma has enough followers on their YouTube channel that we could get a couple of free days there, so we used that space as well.
Which is funny because you guys had been banned on YouTube somewhat recently. Is that right? Like they had taken.
This was before all that debacle.
This was before all that. I see.
Okay. I think we're still okay down there. They like us. It's just the algorithms set to kill the independent companies. But Lloyd Kaufman directed that commercial, which was pretty good. Very funny.
So all told, probably let's see, 24 plus 6 plus 2 plus another 3 or 4.
Yeah, so
whatever that is.
When you look at it, it's a big deal. I mean, you've got a $50 million movie for under $500,000. And it's probably my last movie because you young folks are able to make movies with that 10% of that, and they're great. So Brandon Basham's new movie is on, it's called Slashing Part 2, the Final Beginning, and it's in some theaters, and it's on Troma now, the future now. And Brian is currently taking time off from directing his film, which is currently filming, Bring on the Damned. And thank you all for coming. It's wonderful. Bring on the Damned.
So to that
Especially
point,
if you like that movie.
So to that point,
so I think I'm producing more. The younger people that got it together, you know, and it's a huge amount of talented young people, and it's fun to work with them and steal their idea. I mean, take credit.
But to that point, you say this may be your last film. You've said that.
I think so.
You've said that in interviews. I remember when we first had our meeting, when we had our first meeting, rather, you had mentioned that. And it kind of comes across in Shitstorm. I mentioned before Prospero's final speech, being so vulnerable, so honest. This really does feel like a bittersweet swan song. So are you saying, like, was this purposely made as, like, your victory lap? It certainly comes across that way. You seem to be saying, you're saying a lot of the things that you said throughout your career, but you're saying them, in my estimation, better than you ever had before, as clear as you ever had before. So were you conscious of that in the production, that this may be my swan song?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, after we finish shooting, it's very stressful to do this stuff, and you know, it's a dangerous. You know, there's a lot of danger, and that's the scary. In fact, we set that place on fire. If I remember.
There were a few fires. We took care of them, but there were a few.
Nobody's head got chopped off like on the major Twilight Zone and all that. 50 years, knock on wood, we've never had a major. But that's the stuff that scares the crap out of me, pardon the expression. And so at the end of this filming, I did a major tribute to Alfred Hitchcock. I actually got vertigo. And we were spinning around for 3 days. And also, that being in that suit took a lot out of me, let me tell you. I need some Cialis now.
But Lloyd, interesting fact, Lloyd, is that... Lloyd directed about, I would say, 60% of this movie in drag. Even when the scenes were over. So it's funny because a lot of the other documentaries that you see, there's like maybe 6 or 7 scenes where Lloyd's yelling and stuff. This one was he was very calm. And there was only maybe one time that you blew up. Lloyd, was it because of the drag?
Well, I certainly was a more attractive ugly woman than than an ugly man. But I owe my wife, the commissioner, who was there, both calming and I know what'll happen when I get home. So there was a lot of that. She calls herself the dog whisperer. No, not the dog.
Oh, the Lloyd Whisperer. It's absolutely true. And working with Pat Kaufman was an absolute pleasure. There were so many times where I was sitting thinking, how are we going to do this? And Pat would just come around, talk to a couple of people, and everything would be solved. So, to Pat Kaufman.
Well, also, it's the best cast and crew, no joke. I mean, everybody on the film really wanted to make some art. Let's make some art, They really, that was it. I have trouble with everybody's names.
Well, it's just from people that were there for 2 hours to the entire shoot. People contributed insane amounts to this movie that honestly make it better. Yes. Even the smallest bits.
What would be your biggest takeaway from this production, John?
My biggest takeaway would be, well, this is only I can speak from my personal experience, is that sometimes it's good to give yourself away for free. I came to Troma as a editing volunteer, and I edited some of Lloyd's Make Your Own Damn Movie stuff, and I guess he liked it, so I stuck around. Then I got to be his assistant, did that for a few years, then I got to produce a couple of his movies. So with that, I then got to get on a TV show called The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, because I met Justin Martell and Matt Mandarines. So I owe a lot to Troma. I owe a lot to Troma, and I would like to say that Lloyd is such a generous guy, and I wouldn't have the career that I have without him. So thank you, Lloyd.
Well, thank you very, very much. But you guys, you certainly paid your dues, and that's the thing. It's like a film school in a way. It's the Hudson School of Painting, the Troma School of Filmmaking. Except that, we actually pay you a little bit. You don't have to pay $80,000 a year.
It's the best film school. I mean, if you hear that Troma's making a movie and you're an aspiring filmmaker, I would say carve out at least 5 to 10 days to get on that set and do whatever you can, because you'll learn a ton.
Well, thanks, John, and thank you, Justin, too, and Commissioner.
With that in mind, Lloyd, do you often mentor? You mentioned all the people who come through Troma who work on your sets, the amazing cast and crew you have. Do you find time to mentor as much of them as you can? Is that something you're very much interested in?
I have turned none of them gay, if that's what you meant.
No. Although if you had stories, we could talk about them.
Siebenbergen, the maker of I Need You Dead, right? He was my assistant. Did my best, no look. Anyway, let's stop that. The mentoring just comes with the position. I'm kind of real, so people can just, sort of be there. And unfortunately, I'm a bit manic depressive. But I think recently, both Michael Herzma, who I haven't mentioned, who's only my partner for 50 years, without whom none of this would be, because somehow he keeps the ship afloat. And we keep making these movies that don't really make any money, and yet he's able to keep us out of debt and keep going and all that. So thank you, Michael Hurst, no question about it. He just doesn't like it. He doesn't like to appear. He's very private. But Doug Sackman's not here either, who, in terms of practical effects, created a shitstorm in a totally white premises.
Yeah, there were gallons and gallons of shit. I mean, the gallons. You'll see in the behind the scene how much was made. And then on top of that, we had Eric Fox, who did a lot of the practical effects and the melt things and the society type of shunting effects. And then a huge crew of people who just joined up. I mean, some people just showed up on set to be PAs and ended up doing special effects. RJ, for one. Yeah. So it's a lot of people. You come, you don't really have necessarily an assignment over the first course of the few days, and then you fall into place, and you get your things. Also, I'd like to shout out Zach Amico, who wrote a lot of jokes on set with Lloyd. He was talking to the corner.
Zach is co-director.
And directed.
And Zach improvised quite a number of the real Shakespearean couplets. Beta Callisto's in the crowd, ladies and gentlemen, one of the stars. Thank you, Beta, flew in for this. And, And Dylan Mars Greenberg is going to be playing tonight. Not just the theme song.
There's an after party. Everybody's invited. It's at a place called the Wolfhound.
Wolfhound, yes.
It's on 30th Avenue. The Wolfhound. Look it up. It's not far. It's maybe 3 or 4 to 7 blocks.
Thanks, John.
I'll be performing the Shitstorm theme song.
Where did you write that song, Dylan?
I wrote it in Albania while we were there in the hotel room, and I recorded the majority of the synths and vocals actually in my hotel room in Albania every night after I'd wipe all the shit off of my body after I duty, which of course inspired me to write the song, and then we recorded more parts with session musicians and my band in New York City.
So
and they let me put it in the movie.
Only a short walk away.
I've heard a lot about shit tonight, and I don't want to wait for the documentary. I must know what this shit was made of. Please.
I know one of the things was tapioca starch.
Amazing.
That was one of the things within. I know that there's other people such as shit masters, shit wranglers, or things of that nature. There's actually a whole shit unit credit.
We may have to consult with Shithouse Productions in Tennessee.
Chocolate cake and fudge. Who's that? Stevie Lou! Shit master, I believe. And you'll see in the behind the scenes. It's all in the kitchen. They're
we recycled the chocolate cake. Well, that was the desserts. I believe the caterers here.
The Hidalgo.
Mr. What's his name? The guy who got the food for us from Brazil.
Leandro? Our associate producer, Leo.
Hey, Leo.
Leo's here. He's
very good food. And,
there he is.
Thank you so much, Leo.
See, that's another example where Leo came in. He was one of the first people that showed up to the Troma building when it was just basically me working on the movie with Lloyd. And one of the first people did anything that he was asked and ended up with an associate producer credit. I mean, it's amazing. He did such a great job, and there were multiple people like that. James Boylan, another person who came in and just was so helpful from the beginning, and ended up just getting that credit because they deserved it.
That's the good thing. Yeah, I actually did that when I began. I had a job with a crappy little company called Canon, but I identified John G. Avildsen as a talented dude, and he was making Joe, and because I had a brain, I think he saw Yale on my resume, so he called for me to be on set as a PA. And then I attached myself to him, and I worked for free while he was trying to get another gig, which is Cry Uncle, which is on Troma now. It's hilarious. It's a little-known Avildsen. He did it right before Rocky, and I worked on Rocky with him. So I had the experience of also trading credits. On Saturday Night Fever, I had the worst job, and very little money. But I got a half-screen credit. But it was a horrible job.
You helped edit Rocky, is that right? Or it was
Troma produced all the stuff in Philadelphia under the radar with the Cry Uncle crew, non-union Cry Uncle crew, and then the Teamsters, the truck drivers. In those days, with 76, 70, whatever that was, they were rough. So we had to run back to the others ran back to Stallone, Talia, Burgess Meredith, the producers. They all went back to L.A. and shot the rest of the film. But all those iconic shots are wonderful. We did them all low budget. At night, the people in their houses would squirt the water on the street to make the reflection. Pizza for lunch, and it was the second movie to use the Steadicam. And I did behind the scenes for some reason. I must have had a little camera, and so I shot behind the scenes. So there's all this footage of one of the most amazing, iconic movies of our country, and it's in the. I gave it to Avildsen. He cut it down to. Then we cut it some more to about 15 minutes, and we wrote a script, and then we narrated it. It's very interesting for students. And the best thing was Avildsen put it up on his YouTube channel. He got a letter from Fox, a cease and desist. I gave it to them too. I got one also, but Avildsen, I didn't fight it. I just let it. Avildsen fought it, and it was okay.
So you start your career basically how you recommend
film school.
people. Yeah, well, it's film school, but also just going out and doing the work like how you.
Yeah, it is film school. Yeah, there's stuff they can't teach you. It's hard not. You don't know that the helicopter blades will cut somebody's head off. Or if you put a stuntman in a car and put it in the water, he might drown. So we've done those stunts and figured out using Pythagorean law that you can do it without the guy in the car or the lady in the car.
Well, you live by the 3 rules of production, which are
safety to humans, the most important. And I just called Ben Johnson down in Nashville because they have this messenger thing, and they're all kind of they're all high-fiving themselves and shithouse productions and having a great time. And it's just the perfect atmosphere for somebody to back a truck up and do a full head crushing. So I talked to Ben. He says everything is 100% safe. And I think we're going to get insurance, actually, this time.
Oh, good. So that's safety to humans.
That was a joke.
Safety to humans, then safety to people's property, and then in smaller letters, make a good movie.
And that's what it's all, right? One human life's worth more than all the movies put together, probably, right?
Another interesting fact is that on the Cursed Films on Shudder, they came on set and interviewed Lloyd in that episode that was on the set of Shakespeare's Shitstorm, if you recall.
Yeah, I think I told them that I only do interviews in the drag. And
that's right.
I think it's in the interview, I believe.
It's incredible. It's Lloyd and drag talking about safety on set, and it's behind the scenes of this movie.
Is this going to be a new ongoing thing, or are you just going to be in drag often, every day?
But it wasn't bad. I kind of enjoyed it. It's just it took a lot of time. But honestly, I think one thing in my career, I don't believe I've asked anybody to do anything that I haven't done or did. I don't know how to say that, but I've been about as naked as I could be in a movie a few years back.
The Buffalo Bill dance from Silence of the Lambs. Yes. Lloyd reenacted that.
And I asked my daughter Charlotte to film it, and she, for some reason, refused. And just we filmed it in my living room, I think. And then Pat came home. The commissioner came home, and
then started directing you.
Yes.
It was great.
That's a return to Newcomb High, the second half of an amazing two-part, Tarantino-inspired two-part.
Which was also premiered here at Museum Moving Image.
Thank you
5 years ago, yeah.
That's
so
right.
This is a homecoming.
Wow, thank you. It's really a great evening.
That
made a sad old drunk very happy, ladies and gentlemen. No joke. Thank you.
Now, you said
I was really happy.
My first email conversation with Lloyd was, he ended the email with that, you made a sad old drunk very happy, Jesse. It's like, oh my gosh. But no, I remember that event very fondly. That was my first week working here at the museum, and the idea of curating a series, wasn't even on my mind yet. So fast forward almost 6 years later, I'm up here with you is absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
We're going to get to some audience questions in just a moment. I want to wrap up with you. You're coming up, is 50 years, or is more
I've
than
been doing it for more than 50
coming
years.
Up, yeah, exactly.
I was talking about masturbation. I've been making movies for probably 52 years.
52 years,
53 years.
We could talk about that.
Started in the 60s. Yale was when I started doing it. Both things.
So, and you say that...
Oh, boys.
You say that this could be your last film, and we're debuting it here at the Museum of the Moving Image, which is amazing, right? To be able to show it at a place like this.
Oh my gosh, the projection. Please thank Fred. Is that his name?
Fred, if you're in the booth, wow. Lloyd says thank you.
The sound system. Again, it's a credit to Lucas Picassi and Mr. Fleming over there. His name I forgot. What's your last name? Fleming. What's your first name? Fleming. Also, that wonderful short directed by Innards, all one shot. Mr. Fleming did it. All the way from Denmark, the happiest land in the world.
Well, what would be like how would you sum up your career? How would you sum up your time as a director? What does Shakespeare's Shitstorm say about your time as a director? It's being recorded by everyone here. We're in the museum. It's being documented. I would love to hear something definitive about your life as a truly independent filmmaker.
Well, certainly I've been lucky to make this movie. Had total freedom. I don't think anybody there thought about formulaic money or how we're going to make profit or any of that stuff. So I think that's beautiful. And the fact that the commissioner let me make the movie and we put most of the money is our own money. In fact, Bad Dragon, the good people at Bad Dragon, just as a gift, gave us about 10% of the budget. Yeah. So, I appreciate the commissioner. You know. I don't know if everybody, right? It's a lot of money, for retirement and all that stuff. So,
And John, as you're entering, as you're still, quite new to the field or still quite young, getting to your peak, how do you sum up, as a filmmaker and a producer in this industry, how do you sum it up so far, and what does Shakespeare's Shitstorm say about your role in the film industry so far?
It's honestly all the time when I'm on set or doing something creative, I sometimes think, what would Lloyd do? There's times when there's seriously something's going wrong on set. You're trying to figure something out. It's like, we come from Troma. We can figure this out. There's no hill that's too high to climb. So, and that's because of the great film school that I got from Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hers, and as well as all the people that I've met through the network of Troma. So Troma will be in my DNA now forever. And anything that I have to do that's difficult, I'll be able to solve it because Troma.
What would Lloyd do?
Yep.
Someone should put that on a bracelet. Have we thought about this yet?
I'm there for all of you. I've been giving out my cards so that you would see Troma now, the future. But the other side has email. I'm very. I do answer all my own email and Twitter and Instagram. I do myself.
Reach out for some advice.
So I'm very available if anybody has an idea or a script.
Can I send you a script?
Absolutely. I don't know if I'm doing anything, but if I come across something, I'd love to do it. And we have young directors now. Right, Dylan's ready to do a new movie, and Mr. Rocco Siebenbergen he's writing something now. Who knows?